Love that. I love to keep it positive. As I alluded to this earlier, you want to be metabolically flexible. And so how do you become metabolically flexible? There's several powerful interventions that don't cost you anything. The most important one, and the topic of a book that I'm going to be publishing next year, is essentially to remove a very specific fat. It's an omega-6 fat. It's called linoleic acid. Have you ever heard of that before? Yeah, but I definitely will explain. So it's normally considered to be what's called an essential fat, meaning your body needs it because it can't make it. But if you eat food, it's impossible to become deficient in this fat because it's almost in every food. The problem is we get too much of it. And so what's too much? Normally, our ancient ancestors got about to 1% to 2% of the total calories of their diet as linoleic acid. Now it's like 20, 30%, 20 to 30 times more. It's crazy. So what's the big deal? Well, it's called a PUFA, a polyunsaturated fatty acid, and it's highly susceptible to oxidation, which causes these damaging free radicals, which go on to damage your stem cells, cell membranes, mitochondria. And as a result, your energy producing structures become debilitated or just destroyed, and it becomes very difficult to function, and it will radically increase your risk of every single chronic degenerative disease known to man: heart disease, cancer, dementia, diabetes, obesity, everything, arthritis. So that is why you've got to limit. So how do you limit linoleic acid? You cannot have vegetable oils. You have to understand that a vegetable oil is a metabolic poison, the most pernicious food toxin you can ever hope to consume. Gluten looks like health food compared to vegetable oil. There's no comparison. Now, for some people, it's going to be a little bit worse, especially if you have really severe gluten intolerance. I don't recommend gluten, but I just want to give people a perspective because they don't understand yet. Virtually no natural health care clinicians get this. They will agree. I mean, really, really sharp people. And I didn't understand it until about a year ago. So I'm late to the table too, or to the party. But it's so crucial to get this because vegetable oil is the thing that you've got to eliminate. So that means eliminate all processed foods. And I will debate anyone on this, anyone at any time, because the evidence is indisputable. And it just makes me livid that this is not well known. But I'm hoping to popularize this concept because that will radically improve the health of the country. So you've got to eliminate every vegetable oil you can have. None of them are good. None of them. There is no excuse to have a vegetable oil. So that means that you have to look at processed foods. That means eliminating most of your restaurant visits because there's almost no restaurant that doesn't use vegetable oils. So, and there is an organization that is probably on the level of evil as Monsanto or Bill Gates. It's called CSPI, which is an acronym for Center for Science in the Public Interest. And they took out ads in the late 80s and actually full page ads in like USA Today and targeted McDonald's and other fast food restaurants about using beef tallow because they said you're killing people, and they convinced them to switch over to this vegetable oil. They are directly responsible for killing prematurely killing tens of millions of people. They're also responsible for leveling criticism at me for bringing up the things that I'm talking about. And because of their encouragement, and then nothing happened in the Trump administration because they wrote an article that got us on the front page of New York Times and the Washington Post, and they were criticizing us for what we're saying. And then they encouraged the FDA to write us a letter, but they never did. But as soon as the moment, literally a week after Biden was inaugurated, then the FDA wrote us a warning letter, which was 100% meritless. There's no way that it has any merit at all. It will be, if it ever goes to court, it will be summarily dismissed that's it. Boom. There's no trial because there's no merit for it. But nevertheless, they were able to do that. And, it's this whole collusion between these multinational corporations and the government. It really is a fascism in plain sight. These corporations are acting with the government to deploy their needs. So that's what's happening. But anyway, CSPI was responsible for that transition. you want to build up your, they should have encouraged strategies to improve the person's immune system. What are those strategies? Improve your metabolic flexibility, eliminate all vegetables, all processed foods, optimize your vitamin D levels. And we had specific discussions on this because that's a huge issue for your autoimmune disease. So you have to have a healthy vitamin D level. If you live in Canada, there's almost no one, it's impossible to have a healthy vitamin D level in Canada unless you're supplementing because you're just too far north. So you have to take a supplement and you have to measure your blood. So what is the number? The number that you're looking for, if this is your US audience, then it's 60 to 80 nanograms per ml. That's the index, that their unit that they're using. In Canada or in Europe, they use a different unit. It's nanomoles per liter, and that's 100 to 150 nanomoles per liter. Just completely cross out the normal reference range because it's absolutely irrelevant. They don't know what the heck they're talking about. They're using ancient studies that don't mean diddly squat. If you want to optimize your immune function, it's 60 to 80 nanograms per ml or 100 to 150 nanomoles per liter. That's what you shoot for. That's what you got to get. Typically, the average adult takes about 8,000 units a day to get to that level, assuming you have no exposure to sunshine. Now, you don't have to take vitamin D. I haven't taken vitamin D in 12 years, and my level is 60 to 70 nanograms. So, but you get confused because you were telling me your level was 55, and then I said, you live in Canada, so they're using nanomoles, and that's like less than 20, which is like close to 20. It was like you were seriously deficient in vitamin D. That's for you. For all of us, it's so important, but for anyone with an autoimmune disease, it's just one of the most important therapeutic interventions you can have. And it's like almost free. It's free for me. I've been taking it for 10 years. I just get it from the regular sun. That's it. So it's we're designed to get it. Not everyone can do that. I understand that most of us don't live in the subtropics and have the freedom to go out into the sunshine every day with not much clothes on. So if you don't do that, you're not going to get it from the sun. That's exactly what you need. And it's got to be during solar noon. Like in daylight savings times, that would be 1 o'clock. In non-daylight savings times, it's 12 o'clock. So, so doing that, and then if you do get infected, the most important strategy, I would go to my site, Mercola.com, Mercola.com, and type in nebulized hydrogen peroxide. I've done many interviews on it and created a specific interview that gives you detailed instructions on how to implement this, because it uses a nebulizer. You have to devil's in the details. So you have to get a good nebulizer because most of them are bad. They're inexpensive and they don't work. You get it's only $60 or $80. It's probably the best $100 investment you can make because it will last for years. And at the moment you get sick, you just use a very small concentration, because normally the peroxide in your drugstore is like 3%. This you would use as 0.1%. So it's like 30 times diluted. And you dilute it with normal saline, which is a saltwater solution. And all the instructions on how to do it are in there. And if you do that, you do like every hour while you're sick, it's like incredibly effective. It's like well over 90%, maybe beyond 95% effective. I mean, it's the craziest strategy. And after you've made the investment for the nebulizer, the peroxide is free. I mean, the dose that you're going to use is less than a penny. It's like less than a tenth of a penny. That's how much peroxide you're using. So, and anyone can use it, and you just inhale it and breathe it in for a few minutes, and almost everyone, the cough disappears, the fever gets better, the feeling that they're going to die just is gone. I mean, so many of the friends and relatives I know use this, and it's exactly the experience they get. Boy, if you've got a flu, the moment you have a sniffle or sneeze or a cough, boom, you do this, and literally once or twice, and it's gone. It is gone. It's crazy. And there's virtually no side effects. If you do it properly, very low concentration, there's no side effects. It's almost free, and it works. I mean, what better prescription? Because if they had a magic drug that you take this pill and you're better, well, they'd have to make it, and almost every pharmaceutical has side effects, and there's a cost to it. They couldn't make it fast enough. They'd have to create hundreds of millions of doses. But all you need is a nebulizer. All you need is a nebulizer and peroxide, there's more than enough peroxide to treat the entire population of the world. So it's an effective intervention. It works. So those are the strategies, because all this is answering your initial question, which I thought was brilliant, is what can the average person do? What should the government have done to do? And this is the same thing. The government should have encouraged these structures and interventions.